Yo, what's going on, YouTube, and welcome to Goal Line Hockey. It's Kevin Forte, and we are back for our first live stream in a minute. It's been a while since we have done a live stream, but I'm very excited to get back with you guys and see how everybody's doing. As we are now in, I'm taking a little bit of time off to reflect on the channel and just everything going on. Honestly, I've been busy with work and things like that. So, as much as it's been a vacation from this channel, it really hasn't been much of a vacation in my personal life. So, I'm happy to get going. I needed that reset just to refresh getting ready for this season. But you guys know how it works around here. We don't do off seasons around here. And I'm not going to be starting that this year either. So, I'm going to wait for some of you guys to start jumping in. I also have some news to give you guys later, a couple of things to talk about. We have a new merch drop. So I've been waiting for a while, but on my Teespring shop for Goal Line Hockey, we have hats available now. So I actually ordered those so you guys can see them from me personally and decide if you want one. We also have a 10% off discount code. So if you're interested for the next week, it is a 10% discount code on those hats. We have pink, blue, navy, white. Those were the two I got, navy and white. So if you guys are interested in any of that, make sure to check that out. And thank you for joining us here in the chat. We've got PJ, Blue Line Hockey. Yo, Kev, what's up? Long time no see. Yeah, I'm glad to see you, PJ. One of our members here at Goal Line Hockey. So thank you so much, PJ, for the support. And of course, Blue Line Hockey's been jumping in here and there. So thank you for the support, guys. I really do appreciate it. It's been too long. So like I said, we've got the merch drop. The other thing that I'm really excited for, which is actually coming out this week, and I'm starting to set up the templates and starting to build up the content, is we are getting ready because now it is August, the season preview series. So once a day, I will be releasing a video for each and every NHL team as we get ready for the 2023-2024 NHL season. So if you guys are excited for next season, make sure to stay tuned for that because your favorite team will be getting a season preview video here within the next month. So I've been setting that stuff up. So I'm really excited for that. Blue Line Hockey says, let's see Vegas first. Unfortunately, Vegas is going to be at the back of the line because I'm going to do it like I usually do it. I'm going to be doing it alphabetically. So we're obviously going to start with Anaheim, Arizona, Boston, Buffalo, Calgary, Carolina, Chicago. You go through the list. So we're going to go alphabetically. So Blue Line Hockey, you're going to have to wait a little bit, especially considering Vegas is a little bit further down that list. So those are the updates going into the channel for this year. So the season preview videos will be coming out here over the next couple of days, really the next couple of weeks. So that's unless any crazy news happens, like an Erik Karlsson trade or a Connor Hellebuck trade or some weird signing that we didn't see coming or some weird trade. It is basically every day it is going to be one of those season preview videos. So that's kind of your refresher for some of you that have kind of taken off the last couple of weeks and, kind of trying to figure out what's going to happen going into next season for each team. If you want a refresher on that, those videos will be perfect for that. Yo, what's going on, Luis? Welcome to the chat. You guys are the best. Thank you so much for joining us here on this beautiful Saturday afternoon. So I don't know where to start. What do you guys want to talk about? You guys in the chat obviously get priority. But as you guys start to filter in, let me know your guys' thoughts. I mean, it's, obviously hockey questions, but whatever you guys want to talk about, we are going to talk about that today. Like I said, I could really start going down the rabbit hole of the season preview videos, but I'd rather hear what you guys want to talk about first. So PJ, yeah, of course, PJ is going to talk about the Flames. So we're going to start there. So we'll start with the Calgary Flames. So the way I look at the Flames right now is, yeah, and he leaves the laughing emoji. That's the perfect way to put it. You look at this team, they've got a lot of new going on, not necessarily on the ice, but up in the press box, as well as behind the bench. They've got new general manager Craig Conroy. This wasn't really much of a surprise to anybody, but that first trade, not a great first impression. He traded Tyler Toffoli to New Jersey for really a bag of pucks. I think a lot of people were really upset with that move, including myself. I think Calgary got fleeced in that deal. And considering what they traded for Tyler Toffoli a year ago, definitely not a great start for Conroy. He seems like a good guy. He's got that smile, but, everybody's been saying he has that tough side of him. Well, based off that trade, he kind of seems to be, it's like giving away edible arrangements. Not a great deal there by Craig Conroy. They do also have a new head coach, a name that I really haven't heard much about, but it's Ryan Huska. Now, what's interesting about Huska, he's been in the organization with the Flames for the past few years, since 2018, where he has been an assistant coach since then. So he spent 5 seasons as an assistant with Daryl Sutter there in Calgary. So he's been around this organization. He's been around these players. He's been around this team. It's kind of interesting to see how that's kind of played out. Really the exciting things about the Calgary Flames this season, you're hoping to see a comeback season from Huberdeau. His first season in Calgary was pitiful. We're all very upset with how things went that first year for him. Same thing for all these guys that came in. Nazem Kadri didn't have a great year. It seemed like a lot of guys just didn't have a great first impression there moving into Calgary. And I think a lot of the pressure off the ice with Daryl Sutter and just everything going on in Calgary really made it difficult for them to really acclimate. So having this summer, having enough time to really get going, and now you kind of get a new fresh start with a new GM and coach. I think it's a really good thing for those top players. But I'm also really excited to see the development of some of the younger guys that either they've acquired this offseason or guys that have been in the system that are hopefully going to make the roster out of camp. Now, again, there's no guarantees for some of these guys, but it would be safe to assume Yegor Sharangovich, the 25-year-old forward they picked up in that Tyler Toffoli trade, he needs to pan out. Now, what's interesting about him, the past 3 seasons in New Jersey, he played 54 games his first season, picking up 30 points. So there's a guy that can produce points, and between the last 2 seasons, he had 46 points in his first full season with the Devils, and then obviously last season he regressed just a little bit. He had 30 points in 75 games. So Yegor Sharangovich is a guy that's going to need to be featured in that middle 6 at the very least. Maybe even a guy that you're really looking at to replace Toffoli in the top 6 as a winger, but he can play center as well. Now, obviously, the ones that everybody's going to talk about here are Jakob Pelletier and Matt Coronado. So Jakob Pelletier is a 22-year-old forward. He was drafted back in the first round of the 2019 NHL draft. He spent last season with Calgary. I still consider him a rookie, though, because he only played 24 games with the Calgary Flames. He spent most of the season with the Wranglers of the AHL, picking up 37 points in 35 games. So well over a point per game in the AHL. Everyone says, oh, it's just the AHL. No, that's if anything, it actually might be more difficult in the American Hockey League to produce points because the way the game is, it's not very offensive. It's not offensively friendly, right? So that's where a guy like Pelletier, really, that is quite impressive in his first pro season. Now, Matt Coronado is interesting too. He's a 20-year-old. Again, another guy they drafted in the first round, but in 2021. Now, Matt Coronado is really a guy I'm hoping does well because he grew up on Long Island. Shout out to my hometown. Grew up on Long Island, went to Harvard, played at the USHL Chicago Steel. This kid is living the Long Island NHL player's dream. Now he gets drafted by the Flames, playing on the Calgary Flames, and is going to have an opportunity. Yeah, he played 1 game with them last year. He's going to get a full season this year. I think with Matt Huska as the coach, we're going to see much more opportunity here for a guy like Matt Coronado to make the team out of the gate. And maybe there'll be a couple stints where he goes down to the AHL, but I think Coronado will be an NHL player. Maybe not completely full-time this year, but very close. I would place a bet on that. So that's kind of what we're looking at for the Calgary Flames. Defensively, it's basically the same. They just have Dennis Gilbert and Jordan Osterley. Other than that, it's basically the same core. You have Uyghur, Hanifin, Anderson, and Tanev, as well as Zadorov. So it was more about keeping those guys the last 2 years than really bringing in anything new or really upgrading anything. So we'll see how that goes. Obviously, you've got Vladar and Markstrom as your goalies. I think Calgary is due for a better season just because I think everybody was just so pitiful last year in Calgary. I think you're going to see a bounce back season or even a just balance, just coming back to balance season for some of these guys, right? Markstrom is not as bad as he was last year. I truly believe that Markstrom is not that bad of a goalie. He had a really tough season last year. His wife had a child, which obviously is not easy. So those are the kind of things that you really can't plan for. Backlund has kind of been back and forth with this team. We're hoping he'd become the captain. That hasn't necessarily happened yet, but again, there's reason to believe that the Flames will be better. I'm not ready to say that they're a playoff team, and I'll talk about that in my season preview video, but I think Calgary will be a better team. He's not. Yeah, so he's more of a defensive-minded coach. Anderson is having a breakout season this year, mark my words. Yeah, I think everybody's been kind of underrated in terms of looking at Rasmus. Broke out in that 2019 playoff series. I think they played Boston in the Eastern Conference Final. Everyone was like, yo, this Jacob Slavin guy is pretty good. Now, I'm not saying that Calgary is going to go into the Western Conference Final, but Rasmus Anderson has that same aura, in my opinion, around him. He's just a really good defenseman. Oh, man, here we go. Yo, what's going on? Ali Desh, thank you for joining us. So we've got a bunch of you guys in here. Thank you so much for joining. Ali Desh, PJ, Blue Line Hockey, and whoever else is in here. Thank you guys so much for joining us. Like I said, guys, I want to know what you guys want to talk about. I think Luis jumped in here. Alex Lyon goes to Detroit. You all think as a backup or a main goalie? I think it depends on what happens with Nedeljkovic, because Detroit kind of has a goalie carousel going on right now. Let's take a look at their goalie group here. So they've got Husso, Reimer. Yeah, he's probably a third goalie, Alex Lyon, because you've already got Husso and Reimer. No, Ali Dash, no, nothing like that. Nope, not here. So Ali Dash, the big announcements, I actually had two. So the first one is for our spring goal line hockey shop. I just put up hats, so I was really excited about that one. I've had problems in the past getting that through. For some reason, but now it was available. So now I have goal line hockey hats available to you guys. So I ordered them. They should be coming in the next couple of days so I could review them for you guys. But I'm really excited. That was one of the merch things that I really wanted, was goal line hockey hats that were reliable and good. So we'll see how this goes. The other big announcement is the season preview will be returning this, I don't want to say fall yet, this autumn, right? Is that the gap between the summer and the fall? We just call it autumn. For this autumn, we are going to be bringing back the season preview. So for each and every day over the next month, really, we're going to be doing a video for each and every NHL team. I'm hoping the videos are going to be around 5 to 10 minutes long each. That's kind of my expectations. We're going to talk about each and every team, what they did this offseason. Are they better? The lineup for the team. What key injuries do they have already going into this season? And, of course, my predictions. I'm going to give a win prediction for each team and a point prediction and a round range of where I think these teams will fall. And, I was pretty close last season, and I'm kind of excited to do it again this year. I kind of rank every team by their division, who's going to be the best teams in their division to the worst. And I was actually pretty close last year for the most part. So I'm really looking forward to that again this year. So we will be doing that stuff here over the next couple of weeks. So definitely stay tuned for that. I'm really excited for those two things. It's weird being back here on the channel because we really haven't said that thing until fall camp really begins. It's kind of tough to talk about hockey when it's just the same stuff on Erik Karlsson and Connor Hellebuck. And I kind of view it as junk food. If it's really not valuable or really any good information, I don't want you guys to sit through a 10 or 15 minute video that's not going to give you any information you might not have already known. And that's something that I really, that means a lot to me. The integrity of my content means a lot to me, and I don't want to throw you guys just junk food just to throw out a video. I don't want to do that. So to not waste my time, and more importantly, to not waste your guys' time, I really haven't been able to make much content. But that's why we're here for the live stream. I wanted to answer some of your guys' questions about the off season. I'm all down for it. So I'm really excited for some of you guys jumping in here. Hallie Dush says, what kind of Isles fan wears a Caps hat? Unacceptable, Kevin. Yeah, you know what? That is because we went down to DC earlier this year. We took that road trip, the East Coast road trip. We went down to Washington to watch the Capitals Islanders. We watched the Devils and Rangers in New Jersey, and we watched the Flyers play. So within, I think it was 4 days. Oh, and I watched an Islanders game. So within 5 days, I watched 4 hockey games in the New York metro area, and a little bit down the coast. So that was a lot of fun. But that is why I have this Capitals hat. Kev wanted to wear his Rangers hat. Yeah, it's not happening. Come on. No Rangers hats here. Need to buy a coffee mug? Yeah, that's true, Ali Dash. The coffee mug. I haven't gotten the spring tea hockey mug, but I do have to look into that. Yeah, Kev's got money to spend. Yeah, thanks, Ali Dash. All right, let's take a look. What else do we need to talk about? Now people are dropping off because we're not talking about hockey. So let's see. I mean, we kind of talked about this already, but I think some of the teams that really got better here over the last couple of weeks, the Red Wings and the Blackhawks are very intriguing to me. Now, the Detroit Red Wings bringing in Alex DeBrincat, that was obviously a huge trade for the Wings. DeBrincat comes in. He immediately signs a 4-year deal. He wanted to play for the Red Wings. It just seemed like a perfect marriage. Now, there is no trade protection for DeBrincat, which is very interesting. I don't know how that's going to go. But honestly, I think that's a guy that's really going to add that offense that they're looking for there. I really like the addition of JT Compher as well. I think the price is a little bit high, but I think he's a decent player. I think Justin Hall was another weird one. That was a head scratcher. Justin Hall and Compher got a lot more money than I think they maybe deserved. But we'll see how that plays out. Clem Kostin and Daniel Sprong and Christian Fisher. I think all 3 of those guys are very underratedly really good players for the Detroit Red Wings here. And the reason I say that is Clem Kostin is going to add that little bit of snarl to your team, right? He was kind of the protector, the guardian for Connor McDavid last season in Edmonton. But he also produces points. He had 21 points in 57 games. Yo, what's going on, PJ? Member for 1 month. Let's go, Kev. Oh, that's awesome, PJ. Yeah, so he's been a member for a month. So, guys, like I said, if you want to support the channel, I think it's a $2 tier, a $5 tier, and like something like a $20 tier. I don't really know what to do with that tier yet, because ideally in the world where we have like 5, 6, maybe 7 people in that tier, it would be an exclusive live stream just for you guys. But we aren't at that point yet. So the $20 tier is just really charity at that point. But if you're interested in the $2 or the $5 tier, just like PJ, make sure to join the channel membership. PJ says, I think the Blackhawks barely missed the playoffs. I actually agree with that. A lot of people are saying Chicago is going to bottom out again this year, and I don't think that's the case. I think it's going to be hard to bottom out when you have the talent that they have, and I think they benefit from being in the Central Division this year. I think the division is a little bit weaker still. Obviously, you still have Colorado. Excuse me. Obviously, you still have Colorado. It was a great team. They're going to be right there. But in reality, I still don't think Dallas is that good. I think St. Louis is going to bounce back. I think St. Louis is going to be better. Urban isn't in the chat, but Minnesota, I'm a little bit weary about Minnesota. Minnesota and Dallas, I kind of have in the same territory of that twilight zone of, are they going to be about to fall off, or are they going to get back in the playoffs again? I don't really know. Winnipeg, I think, is going to decline a little bit based off of some of the trades they've made this offseason. But like I said, Chicago just missing the playoffs isn't necessarily crazy, in my opinion. Bedard and Taylor Hall could be a nasty duo. Yeah, and I think that would be huge for Taylor Hall just to get his confidence back. That guy has had such a crazy career with highs and lows, right? He had all these highs coming into Edmonton, Mr. Big Shot first overall. Obviously, things don't work out in Edmonton. Then he finds his way moving around the NHL, going to New Jersey, going to Arizona, ending up in Boston, which seemed like a perfect fit. And then obviously last season happened and it didn't go so well. And now he's trying to redefine himself in Chicago. So this is a guy that his career has just been a roller coaster of highs and lows. So hopefully he's able to find something to work here once again in Chicago. Kev, as a Flames fan, it saddens me to say this, but Oilers will win the cup. Now, that's an interesting discussion for you guys that are in the chat. We talk about this every year. There hasn't been, I think it's been 20 years, 30 years since a Canadian team has last won the Stanley Cup. Which Canadian team is most likely to win the Stanley Cup this year? Because you look around, Vancouver isn't, Winnipeg isn't. Sorry, PJ, and you kind of said this. I'm going to agree with you. 1993 Montreal, I believe, right? Yes. Habs were the last team to win a Stanley Cup up north of the border. Let's be honest, Ali Dash, I don't think Ottawa's quite there yet. Maybe another year or two. Yeah, it really would be Edmonton or Toronto. And it seems like that's kind of what we said last year. You know, I'm just trying to find another reason for anybody else. And this is kind of what happens. Like, Vancouver is kind of rebuilding. Montreal is sort of not kind of rebuilding. Vancouver could be interesting. I could see Vancouver going on a run this year. Maybe not winning the Stanley Cup, but they're the type of team that every couple of years, like we remember what they did in 2020 in the up in, I think it was Edmonton, right? They went to the conference finals. Like, I think everybody forgets that this sort of Vancouver Canucks team did go that far. And as long as Thatcher Demko can be a good goalie, like we've seen him be in the past, and stay healthy, I think there's a chance Vancouver could surprise some people this season. You've got Quinn Hughes. You've got Tyler Myers. I think Philip Hronek was a great addition. Yeah, the price was expensive, but I think he's a good defenseman. I think Carson Soucy was a really good pickup. They completely rebuilt the blue line. That was my criticism of Vancouver last year. They rebuilt that blue line, and I think this is a better team than we've seen really for the last couple of years in Vancouver. If that blue line can stay healthy, they might actually have a pretty good shot. And as crazy as that sounds, it may not be so crazy. You know, you even look at some of the guys like Kuzmenko, if he can stay healthy. Beauvillier had a pretty good end to his season in Vancouver. Like, those are the type of guys you're going to be kind of looking for. And the way Patrick Allvin and Jim Rutherford are kind of doing things in Vancouver, they're not looking to rebuild right now, right? They think they can make the playoffs. And they, you know, most people kind of laugh at that, but they might. Yeah, PJ agrees. Yeah, Maple Laugh's going to start losing their players. Yeah. And that's going to be the paradox here for the Maple Leafs, right? Because it seems we've been saying this every year. It seems like this is the year, right? When is it going to be the year where Toronto blows it up? Because at this point, Toronto really hasn't done anything in terms of like that playoff success. I don't know if you guys saw this, but Mikhail Sergachev last week was kind of calling them out. Now, obviously, it's kind of a sore loser mentality, especially considering they beat you in the first round this year. So you might want to be a little bit quieter on this front. But he was kind of talking about how, yeah, the Leafs went around and they were all excited and freaking out and this and that. But here's the difference. This is a different Leafs team than we saw last year. And really any year. My knock was always that this team wasn't built for the playoffs. You have a team that can win in the regular season. You have guys that can score, produce points consistently. But how's your locker room? Who's going to protect you when there's a big hit or something happening? They haven't had that for years. I think the additions as maybe as kind of, you know, ineffective as they might seem, they are going to play a bigger factor than just on the ice. And those guys, you know, it's kind of easy to point out Ryan Reeves, a guy that's just got a big personality, and it's going to take away some of the spotlight from some of the other guys like Matthews and Tavares and Nylander and some of the other guys on this group. And I think that's something that's been lacking for this team for a very long time is personality. And that was always the knock on John Tavares when he was with the Islanders, was he was just such a robot. And there's no sort of emotion. And I think you need to find the balance between finding that motivation for yourself, but also not allowing outside factors to motivate you all the time and just being self-motivated, but also being able to turn on the spark when you need to. And I think the Leafs have had the latter, of not being able to find the spark to begin with. And I don't know if that makes much sense. I'm hoping this makes sense to you guys. But the way I look at this Leafs team with Bertuzzi, with Domi, with Reeves coming in, that's a complexity that we have not seen from the Maple Leafs in the Kyle Dubas era. Yo, we got a super chat from PJ, $7 Canadian. He said, fun fact, Toronto had interest in Lucic, but he didn't sign with them due to the Boston connection. Imagine, however, Lucic and Reeves on the fourth line. That would have been interesting. And it's funny you bring that up because I've heard similar stories about that with Toronto. Apparently, Calgary wanted to bring him back or something like that. Guys, NHL players are staying away from Canada. And that's maybe something else we can talk about here. That's a good segue, PJ, because and I'm very happy he's going back to Boston. I mean, I remember that time when I was like 2009 to 2012 when, Lucic, Boychuk, trying to remember who else was in Boston during that time. Dennis Seidenberg. That was a Bruins team that, I mean, obviously they won a Stanley Cup, but that era of hockey I miss so much. So to see Lucic back in the black and gold, as much as I'm an Islanders fan and I'm supposed to hate them because they're in the Northeast in Boston, I love that move for not only Lucic, but for the Bruins and that fan base. I think they're a little bit more lukewarm on it because they're worried about bringing back guys that they maybe shouldn't have and, losing guys like Bertuzzi. But I don't know. I guess we'll see how things play out at the end of the day. Calgary wanted Gudas, but he didn't sign due to media pressure. Yeah, that's something that is such a big thing right now. Is there's so many things that are kind of going against Canadian teams right now. And between the media pressure being so large, your presence in general in Canada, it is so hard to escape anywhere. Everybody knows what your face looks like in Canada. So if you're an NHL player, there's no hiding anywhere. Let's be honest. The taxes in Canada are really, that is a big factor, especially for guys coming from the States, which we're not going to get too far into this, but the taxing in the States in certain areas is terrible as well. But in Canada, it is really difficult. And unless you're able to balance that out with really good sponsorships like in Toronto and good advertising and promotions, it's really difficult to make that worth it. So everyone brings that up with the money. Yeah, well, you make that money back with sponsorship deals and things like that. But the media pressure, the things like that, if you go down to Dallas, you don't have that pressure and you get to keep the same amount of money. So those are the kind of things that, and the weather, just to point that out there, guys like to play when they're playing in December through February and March. I think they'd rather be playing in Dallas or Miami than they would rather be playing in Edmonton or Vancouver or Winnipeg, which we know Winnipeg's had a problem bringing in NHL talent. There's no surprise there, right? So, I don't know. PJ said NHL players with sponsorships write that money off in their taxes. Yes, that's true too. Yeah. Actually, being a millionaire in Canada, there are tax loopholes. I think there is in the States too. But that is, I think it's still a factor nonetheless. I do agree with you though. Yeah, there's definitely loopholes around that stuff. But you need a good accountant for that. Winnipeg is not a great city. That's what everybody has said. And I think that has gotten around to the NHL players, is that it is not a great city. So that is something Winnipeg is. Yeah, Ali Dash is just laying into Winnipeg. I don't disagree. But again, it's one of those things where as much as, Kevin Cheveldayoff, considering the circumstance, has actually done a pretty good job with that circumstance because it's all about development and wanting guys wanting to stay there. They just can't get that second part. They can develop good NHL players. They just can't get them to want to stay in Winnipeg. That's really been their Achilles heel. So what else do you guys want to talk about? Stan Bowman was really close to becoming the GM of the Flames. Yes, I do remember that. I think that was that back in June? I think it was right before the draft. There was some talk about that. It's actually coffee, black coffee, PJ. That's been my new thing recently is I've been drinking just straight black coffee. It's really good to get me up in the morning, because I get up early, I work out in the morning, and it's a lot. Yeah, there's the caffeine side of it, but there's no sugar in it, and that's gone a long way. It keeps me energized throughout the day. I haven't been drinking it that much. Like I'm definitely making sure I don't become addicted to coffee. Like I can't get up in the morning without coffee. I don't want that. But coffee in general is just good for you. So that's definitely something I don't necessarily even like the taste of black coffee. I'm just kind of doing it because I want to keep my six pack and my good figure here for the summer and moving forward. So black coffee is a good way to do that without just chugging down energy drinks all day. PJ said, Kev, bro, I can't wait for the day you hit 1 million subs on YouTube. I hope more people come across your channel. You are awesome. Yeah, thank you so much, PJ. Man, you guys are buttering me up. You guys are the best. Yeah, you know what? And that's what's frustrating about this time of the year is because I'm trying to I'm pulling a grasp of what to talk about. It's really hard to grow the channel. The channel hasn't grown much here over the last month because there just hasn't been much to talk about. So the fact my YouTube videos aren't in the algorithm, not making videos consistently, that's why I'm so excited for this season preview series because I basically have a month's worth of content right there. And to get people watching the channel and interested, and actually as soon as we end this live stream, I'm going to start doing that season preview series. So just to give you guys a quick breakdown, if you guys are interested in what I'm going to do, so I already have my list here of what I'm going to talk about. So basically, I'm going to talk about any injuries to the team. For example, we're starting with Anaheim. Isaac Lundestrom is going to be out the first 6 months of next season. He just had surgery. So that's kind of a big deal. And that's going to change how the Duck season might go. They have a new head coach. And basically what we're going to do after that is it's going to be changes they made. So guys that have been brought into the team, rookies, who are some rookies that might make the team out of camp this year. One breakout player from each team. So I'm going to pick one team. I'm not going to say who it is for Anaheim. You got to watch the video. But I'm going to pick one breakout player from each team. And then my prediction for how many wins and how many points I think that each of these teams is going to have. It's going to be a 5-win and 5-point range. So let's say I'm going to predict they're going to get between 10 to 15 wins that season, right? Which, God forbid, any team is at that point, but you never know. So we're going to talk about that stuff. So I'm really excited for that. And I have right now in my notes, I have up until, I actually got further than I remembered. I'm up to Detroit right now. So there's about 6 or 7 videos. That's about a week's worth the content for you guys that hopefully I'll be able to bang out here over the next couple of days. PJ said, Kev, you should make a video series on if you were GM of each team, because if I'm being honest, you would be better than most of them. Thank you, PJ. I'd like to think that, but it's always easier in this chair that I'm in right now than the actual general manager chair. But I do appreciate that. I think that's worthy of an applause there, PJ. You guys are the best. And to be honest, some of the GMs, listen, my strategy would always be some of the best moves you make are the moves that you don't actually make. And I think some GMs just really get caught up in forcing themselves to make a move that they shouldn't. And if you're forcing yourself to make a move, it's probably not a good move and is a move you probably shouldn't be making. Right. And when you're hesitant and you're not sure if it's a good move or you have no power or leverage in the situation, probably not a trade you should make. Right. That's kind of how I look at it. And a lot of GMs do that. It's just you don't really see it. And that's why everyone says, oh, the trade that never happened. Yeah, the GM was probably thinking that mentality of I'm probably better off not making this trade than making it. The fallout from this deal isn't worth what I could potentially be getting in this deal. And that's something that a lot of people don't really think about. But that's a big factor. You also have ownership. Ownership plays a big factor in moves that get made or don't get made. So those are the kind of things that I'm definitely looking at. If I was Brad Treliving, I would have traded Tkachuk for Robertson and not Huberdeau. For Robertson, is that Nick Robertson in Toronto? I don't know if I'm trying to think of who he's saying. Robertson. I guess that's who he's talking about. Jason Robertson in Dallas. Oh, that's interesting. That's interesting. Jason Robertson. Oh, I didn't know that, PJ. I did not know that. I know that Tkachuk was definitely one of the guys that was on Dallas's radar. We've seen Dallas been trying to add that type of player for the last couple of years. Jim Nill was trying to get after Tyler Bertuzzi the last 2 trade deadlines. So he's been looking for that type of player, right? Like a Tkachuk or a Bertuzzi. But I didn't know that Robertson was going to potentially go the other way. Yeah, that would have been really nice right now, right? Jason Robertson, Matt Coronado, Jakob Pelletier. Ooh, that could have been a pretty nasty young group there in Calgary, but it is what it is. I think Huberdeau is still a really good player. I just think I don't think he will. He did not get along with, I completely forgot his name, Daryl Sutter. And I think a lot of guys that didn't get along with Daryl Sutter, you're going to find out very early this season because they're going to do a lot better than they did last year. We also have a couple signings here recently, if you guys want to get into that. So Sam Urson signed a 2-year deal to stay with the Flyers. It's $1.45 million per year. I think that was a good deal. Nothing too crazy, but it was a good contract. Tom Wilson was obviously the big one. 7 years at $6.5 million per year. That is a sweetheart contract. I don't know how the Washington Capitals got that one done, but honestly, I think Wilson wants to play in Washington and wants to win in Washington again. He got that feeling in 2018. I think he wants to win with the Caps again. And remember, there's a guy in Tom Wilson that he's developed with the Washington Capitals system. He played for the Hershey Bears for a few seasons in the mid-2010s. He played with the Capitals when they won the Stanley Cup. This is a guy that was always meant to be a Capital, and that's probably part of the reason there. Oh, man, here we go. Yo, we got a super chat from Ali Dash, $2.79 Canadian. I gotta go. Love you guys. Yeah, thank you so much, Ali Dash. Like I said, I'll let you guys know when I do some live streams. I tried to give you guys a heads up today. But you guys are the best. I really do appreciate that. Thank you for the super chats, PJ and Ali Dash. I missed you guys. I'm not gonna lie. I missed you guys a lot. And I'm not just saying that, like I really do. So it's nice speaking to you guys again as this live stream is just getting me more excited for next season. And I cannot wait to make these videos. I cannot wait to get into this season because we're a little, I think it's within the next 3 weeks, we're gonna start seeing preseason games. So that's really exciting. I think it's the last week of August. Oh no, maybe it's September. It might be September. Yeah. So we still have a little over a month, about 6 weeks till the season in terms of the preseason gets going. But yeah, I'm really excited. I'm super pumped for more goal line hockey videos. Yes, sir, PJ. Yep. Yeah, that's going to be a really good game. The outdoor game. Yeah, between Edmonton and Calgary. I heard something the other day. They were saying like, are the Oilers going to have more wins than the Elks do in that stadium? Which that's kind of sad, but I guess the Edmonton Elks are not that good of a CFL team. I don't really know much about the CFL, but based off of something like that, I guess they're not very good. They have a really cool logo though, nonetheless. And also, I plan on going to the game at MetLife Stadium. The Islanders will be dueling it out with the Rangers. I think it's February 20th or February 15th, sometime in February. The Islanders and the Rangers will be outdoors. The Devils and Flyers are playing as well. I might even go to that game too. I'm so excited, guys. Maybe I'll do a live stream from MetLife Stadium. I don't know. We'll see what happens. We've got a long time till then, but I've definitely been throwing those ideas around my head just to see what I could make work. But that would be sweet. All right, guys. I'm going to give you guys a couple more minutes. If you have any more questions or anything to talk about here, if not, I'm going to start making my season preview videos for you guys here for the next couple of weeks. I'm really excited to start to get into this because honestly, this is a refresher for me just to see some of these guys that are in new places because even since that first week of free agency, a lot of guys have been signing, guys have been getting extended, and I've kind of just tried to stay away from the hockey just for a little bit, just for my own sanity, just to get a step away. I think it's really important to do that, and I'm definitely excited for it. Kev, why did Lou give so many long-term contracts? Because the Islanders are in win now mode, and if the Islanders don't win in the next 2 years, there's going to be some major problems for the Islanders. And, everyone on the Islanders fan base is, they're starting to divide. It's well, if we win now, it doesn't matter, but the future looks really bleak. And I say that in the nicest way possible. I like Samuel Bolduc. I like Noah Dobson. I like Oliver Wahlstrom. I like Matt Barzell. But that Bo Horvat contract, he needs to get better next season. And I think he will. I'm a big Bo Horvat fan over here. I think he's going to be better next season. The goaltending has been superb. So, everyone talks about goaltending being everything. The Islanders have Varlamov and Sorokin back. I don't think there's much better tandems in the league, if any at all. Maybe Boston with Swayman and Ullmark. That might be it. This Islanders team is boom or bust. And that's why the fact they gave out those contracts is this is a short-term fix for a long-term problem. And that's kind of what we're looking at there with the Islanders. Bloody Talker said only downside of the outdoor game is Isles lose a home game versus the Rangers. Yes, that's true. They only play one game at UBS Arena this year, which does suck. Now, what's weird is that also happened this past season. I believe they only played one game last year at UBS. And what's even more interesting is for the year of 2023, this calendar year, January 1st of 2023 to December 31st of 2023, there will not be an NHL game between the New York Islanders and the New York Rangers, which is unheard of. And I believe it's at UBS. I'm not sure if they might be playing at the Garden. Now I have to check that. Now, see, I don't want to look stupid, but if I'm not mistaken, I'm pretty sure that's what we're looking at here, if I remember correctly, because that's just the way the schedule worked. The Islanders and the Rangers play each other twice at the end of the season. Kev, what could the Flames get in return if they trade Lindholm? He's been linked to Boston, but I don't see what they could get in return. Probably you're looking at a guy like Fabian Lysell, who is a decent prospect. You're probably going to get a first-round pick. That's definitely going to be an important piece of that deal. Yeah, so now I want to see the schedule because now you guys are going to fact check me. So let's see. Why doesn't it just show the schedule? That's a pain in the neck. Morgan Williams, thank you for joining us. He said the Islanders need to start looking to the future. They're not built to beat the Devils or the Canes, let alone the Rangers and maybe the Penguins. Yeah, that's very true, Morgan, because the sad reality is that's the truth here, right? Like The Islanders at their full capacity, are we really confident that they can beat any of those teams? Probably not. And even Washington, as sad as it is, Washington, even in their weird transition, I think could still beat the Islanders. Like that is a little concerning. Yeah. So I was right. So the Islanders and the Rangers will not play each other for the entirety of 2023, which is insane. The fact that they don't have a end of the season game in the 22-23 season or a beginning of the season 2023-24 game is incredible. And what's even more incredible, don't look too far ahead, guys, but they've got the outdoor game in February, okay? The Islanders Rangers playing at MetLife Stadium in February. St. Patrick's Day in New York City at Madison Square Garden, the Islanders are playing the Rangers. That is going to be a crazy game, especially if both of these teams are in the playoff hunt in March around the trade deadline. There will be so much buzz for that game. And it's on a Sunday at 1 p.m. on St. Patrick's Day. You tell me if that's going to be a crazy game or not. I am very excited for that game. That could be a big one. I haven't been to a home game since I moved, and that was in the old barn. Going to try and get tickets to the Isles Rangers game. Excited to see UBS. Oh, you're going to love it, Bloody Talker. Really nice. I was really impressed by UBS. A lot of people have their, things that they don't like about it and this and that. Yes, that's obviously there. It's definitely different than the Coliseum. But I don't know if you ever went to Barclays Center, or let's be honest, even the renovated Coliseum. This is the Islanders' home, and it feels like the Islanders play there. Barclays Center, they had all the Brooklyn Nets stuff up, and no Islanders. There was no Islander logos anywhere or colors. That is not for UBS. UBS is the Islanders' home, and I think that's going to stand out. That stood out the second I walked in those doors. I think you're going to get that same vibe when you get there. Really beautiful building. Parking wise, try to avoid the Emerald parking. I don't know if you could get into the parking garage or something like that. That's typically what I do. That's my sneak peek, is the parking garage usually works good, because the Emerald parking, especially, well, it doesn't even matter. If you're going in the middle of the summer, or in September or October, it's going to be hot, especially if you wear your jersey to the game and then you walk in and it's really cold. That can be kind of annoying. It's a far walk. And same, the vice versa in the winter, when it's like there's snow on the ground and it's snowing and it's freezing and you're slipping on ice with other people around you, you're not going to want to walk that path around the racetrack to the Emerald parking. So if I had to give a sneak peek for you, Blocker, try to avoid the Emerald parking if you can. It's cheaper, but I would say it's worth it. As crazy as it is, and especially if it's a treat thing for you, I would definitely do that. Beginning of last season, Isles were top of the power rankings, but we lost some to injuries, and by January, we were terrible. They had an amazing run to just sneak in the playoffs. They need consistency. Absolutely. I 100% agree that they need some consistency. Yeah. And the problem is, I think this team fell apart last year. When Pelech went down with an injury. I think it was either the end of November, around Thanksgiving, or December. And that defense completely fell off after that, because Pelech wasn't playing as good. Pelech was out of the lineup. Pulock did not play as good because he wasn't playing with Pelech. Pelech makes Pulock a better defenseman. Try saying that 10 times fast. Yeah, that's the Islanders' blue line pairing. Dobson didn't look as good because he was playing more. And unfortunately, because he was playing more, he was getting a little bit more exposed in his negative sides of his game. So Dobson and Pulock weren't as good. The second Pelech came back in the lineup, even at not even 100%, those guys around him got better. And from there, we obviously had the other injuries. Wallstrom was out for a significant portion. That's a huge scoring depth piece. So things like that really hurt the Islanders. So I think that around that time in the beginning of December, that's where the Islanders lost this past season. And obviously that stretch, I went to some of those games where I think they lost to Montreal. I went to the game where after the Bo Horvat trade, where they brought in Beauvillier, they traded Beauvillier. Beauvillier got the game-winning goal against the Islanders. That stretch was really brutal for the Islanders. But that's kind of how I looked at it. Wahlstrom is back. Yes, he will be back for the season, so hopefully he will be ready to go. All right, so guys, let me know your last thoughts. I think I'm going to head out of here. We're almost at an hour, and I'm going to start doing some season preview videos for you guys as soon as tomorrow morning, 11 a.m. tomorrow. I will have the season preview videos for you guys. So I'm really excited to get into that because going into this season, I mean, especially because I like the Ducks, starting with the Ducks tomorrow, and it's going to go alphabetical. So if you want to know what teams are going to be when, just look at the NHL alphabetically. I'm going to go through the teams in that order. So that is it tonight, guys. Thank you so much for watching. If you haven't already, make sure to like the video. And, like PJ said earlier, make sure to subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. I don't care what you guys got to do. Make a YouTube account for your dog or your cat or your fish or your guinea pig. Make them subscribe here to Goal Line Hockey. Maybe hijack one of your family members' YouTube account and go in there and click the Goal Line Hockey subscribe button. Whatever you guys got to do, as long as we're all, legal here, you can do that. And I would definitely appreciate that a lot. Guys, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you again next time. Peace.